Welcome to Ghost Boys Part 7. And we only have one more part after this, so we're almost done with the book. I haven't read for a couple days, and I apologize for that. So some of the things that we read about last time were, Jerome was figuring out that all the other ghost boys he saw were African Americans who had died young in a violent way, in sort of a race-related way. We also saw some activity with Carlos and Kim. Carlos went to school, and those three mean boys, the bullies, Eddie, Snap, and Mike, were waiting for them at the steps. And Carlos stood up for Kim and protected her, and then they all kind of like walked together. And Jerome was able to witness that, which was really nice. We also heard a little bit about how Emmett died, and we're going to get some more information about that in this segment. So without further ado, this is still one of the dead portions because it's the ghost. This chapter is called Listening. What happened to you? I asked. What went down? Me and Emmett are alone. Ghost boys have disappeared, like they know it's time for Emmett's tale. Neighbors are asleep. The moon shines, moths flit. It's garbage day tomorrow. Rats dig inside pails, eat through plastic bags. My neighborhood is poor and segregated. That means only Black people there. Until I started wandering, I didn't know by how much. I didn't know that I was living in a danger zone. But why did the cops fear me? Are you ready to hear? Emmett asks. I nod. He sighs. Let's go to my home. Stu shakes and we're there. A 2-story brick house with squat, deep steps and awning to keep rain off the landing. West Woodlawn. My mother and I lived on the top floor. His apartment isn't far away from where my family lives. Has our neighborhood always been poor? Emmett speaks, slowly. My great-uncle, Moses Wright, and his wife Elizabeth lived in Money, Mississippi. My cousins, Curtis Wheeler, and I begged to visit them. We wanted to play with Simeon, Robert, and Maurice. 6 boys, almost enough to field a baseball team. Plus, Maurice said he'd take us fishing. 4 rivers passed near his home, and there were 7 deep lakes. Can you imagine? I wanted to see all that water. My uncle was a sharecropper, but he lived in the nicest tenant house on Frederick Plantation. So sharecropper is someone who would farm land that belonged to someone else and have to pay the person who owned the land some of their crops. And it was a tough way to make money. It was like an option for slaves after slavery ended, and it sort of kept them in a kind of slavery. So tenant house is one of the houses a sharecropper family would rent. He lived in the nicest tenant house on Frederick Plantation. It was a rundown shack with a tin roof, but it had 2 bedrooms in the front and 2 in the back. Me and my cousins slept in blue metal beds and shared boxes for our clothes. Happy, and we didn't mind. Short poor people, my mother used to say. That's why I left Mississippi, because I didn't want to be a sharecropper picking cotton. Dirt poor, Emmett repeats. A stinky outhouse, an icebox with real ice, no electricity to cool food. But I loved being in Mississippi with my Mississippi cousins. They roamed. In Chicago, my mother never let me roam. His head falls back. I think he's looking at the sky, but he isn't. His eyes are closed. A shudder shakes him. He looks at the ground and then back at me. His eyes, widening pools, pull me in like I'm going to drown. After an overnight train ride, I arrived in Money, Mississippi, August 21st. August 28th, I died. I'm not on the outside anymore. I'm inside, in an old-time black and white movie. Emmett's telling his story by making me feel his story. Sitting on the roadside, I watch Emmett alive again, living in his old world. Oak trees arch, cypress leaves hang, grass is knee-high, crows soar and screech, woodpeckers peck. Squirrels scamper. Emmett and his cousins play. The air is hot, hotter than Chicago's, and though I can't feel it, I can see wetness in the air. Sweat cloaks everybody. Emmett wears his rimmed hat. He still looks like a chipmunk, but now with skin, plump and fresh. Emmett's laughing, his shoulders brushing against Maurice's. He likes Maurice best. Maurice is his oldest cousin, the big brother. They wrestle half serious. Come on, Simeon shouts. Everybody runs, kicking up dust, stumbling over rocks, running through the forest. The cousins run to the river, and Emmett's hat falls. I try to shout, Emmett, your hat. Wheeler points at Simeon. He's the youngest and the littlest. Emmett nods, and then him and Wheeler lift Simeon, dumping him in the river. It's so hot, Simeon doesn't mind. Robert and Maurice laugh. Let's go to town. Maurice pivots back towards Emmett, resting his hands on his shoulders. He says, serious, Say, yes, ma'am, no sword to white people. Don't look at anybody white in their eyes. Emmett throws a stone, skips across the water and sinks. You're not my uncle, my mother either. Don't be stupid, Emmett. This is Mississippi. I know it's Mississippi. Sidestep if white people are walking on the same street. Step into the road if you have to. Let the whites pass first. Emmett wipes sweat from his forehead, muttering, I'm not afraid of white people. No one but me hears. The town isn't much. Dirt roads, wood sidewalks, a few stores with porches, segregated black and white men play checkers and drink soda outside. Country men in denim, women in flowery dresses, 2 black girls skip. The day is sunshiny and bright. The biggest store is Bryant's grocery and meat market, Marie says. The Bryants mostly sell to blacks. White folks drive to Greenwood. They've got much better stores. Do the Bryants have bubble gum? Asked Emmett. Be careful. Don't say nothing, piped Simeon, his clothes still wet. Scornful Emmett boasts. Life's different in Chicago. I talk with white people all the time. No, you don't, scolds Simeon. I do, I'll show you. He heads towards the store. Don't, says Simeon. Think I'm scared? Simeon grips Emmett's shoulder, and Emmett shrugs him off. Don't! My voice makes no sound. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Emmett, don't be stupid. Here, it's different, says Simeon, fierce and desperate. Tell him, Maurice. Folks don't care about black people. They don't like black people. Don't even believe we're people, says Maurice, sorrowful. Emmett doesn't listen. He walks into the store. It's not much of a store. Some chips, some penny candy, cold sodas, bags of flour, sugar, and salt. A woman with long brown hair sits on a stool behind the counter. She's pale with red lipstick and brown eyes. Emmett digs out a purple bubble gum from a bin and puts a penny in her hand. He walks away, not seeing the woman's outrage. I see it. Hatred. At the doorway, he stops, turns, and smiles. Goodbye. Wordless, I holler, Run, Emmett! The guy tried to run. Simeon leaps on the porch. You spoke to her? Yeah, says Emmett unwraps his gum. I said goodbye like I would in Chicago, put the penny in her hand. You put the penny in her hand? So? Simeon hops, twists like the ground is on fire. He drags Emmett toward his cousins. He speaks rapidly, squeaking, touched her! Robert trembles. Wheeler asks, what's wrong? Curtis, like Emmett, is dumbfounded. We've got to go, insists Maurice. What's wrong? Emmett stutters. Mrs. Bryant bolts out of the store. Her yellow dress flaps. She's fetching her pistol, warns Simeon. Stunned, Emmett can't move. No one can. They're paralyzed. Mrs. Bryant flings open her car door and reaches inside. What's wrong? Anxious, his voice pitches high. What's wrong? The W sounds whistle. The white lady glares at Emmett like he's a monster. She thinks that he's mocking and whistling at her. The crowd gathers. White men, women, even some kids. Black people, heads lower, step and slide away, disappearing and escaping. Even dead, I can feel and smell the danger. Run, screams Maurice. Run, echoes Simeon. Emmett runs as fast as he can. He can't run fast enough. Emmett pauses, closes his eyes, and mutters, I begged my cousins not to tell my uncle and my aunt. I don't want to be sent back to Chicago, I said. I was young and embarrassed. I didn't understand the trouble I was in. But you didn't do anything wrong. Emmett almost fades, and I can see the shape of him, more focused and bold. What mattered was what they, the white people, thought I had done. It gets worse, see? I stare into his eyes. It's past midnight and the house is cloaked in darkness. 2 white men burst into the shack, guns pulled, flashlights startling, searching faces. Everyone's howling and frightened. Aunt Elizabeth runs toward the back bedroom. They follow her. Emmett's face is caught in the flashlight's glow. Get up and get dressed. Petrified, Emmett wets himself. He pulls his overalls over his pajamas. He's a child. He's not from here, his uncle pleads and begs. He didn't know. A man with black curls and a short-sleeved white shirt slams him up against the wall. How old are you, boy? 64. If you make any trouble, you'll never live to see 65. Simeon grabs a hold of Emmett's leg, trying to keep the men from dragging him away. The second man kicks Simeon, who wails and clutches his stomach. Wheeler holds his brother. Emmett screams, Mama! Mama! His uncle and cousins are shouting, begging, pleading on the porch. Emmett's pushed into a truck's cab. He's caught between 2 men. One drives, one keeps punching Emmett. I'll teach you. I'm going to teach you. Bam. You talk sass. Bam. Nobody disrespects my wife. Bam. Bam. Emmett's face swells. Hold on. Let me just change my position. Whew. Sitting on the floor too long. I don't want to see this. I pull back. How many times has Emmett shared this tale? Hundreds? Thousands? I inhale deep. Staring into his eyes, I'm inside again. The film rolls. The Tallahatchie River glows silver. Lightning bugs blink, fish splash, leaping for moths, flies. Emmett is dragged from the truck. Mama! Mother isn't going to help you, boy. His fist falls like a hammer. Emmett drops to his knees. The dark-haired man grabs his legs and pulls. You whistled at my wife. He chokes Emmett. Emmett is squirming, trying to beat the hands away. His feet lift off the ground. Who do you think you are? Eyes bulge. Blood floods his mouth, and he's thrown to the ground. I can't look. I can't help but look. A gun. Emmett isn't moving. Seeing his body on the ground, I see myself. The husband fires the gun, and sparks fly. Emmett's spirit rises. With barbed wire, the men lash Emmett's body to a large wheel. They drag and shove the wheel into the river and watch it sink. Blood stains the riverbank. Emmett's hat rests, amazingly clean, off to the side, brim up. Sorry, Emmett. I'm so sorry. Ghost boys reappear, hovering and studying Emmett's face, and mine. For all of us, says Emmett, waving his hand outward, we're all sorry for each other. Somebody decided they didn't like us. We were a threat, a danger, a menace. The ghost boys nod, waiting for something, waiting on me, I feel it. The ghost boys are my new family. Then I feel an urge deep inside me, a recognition, injustice, tragedy. My mouth opens, a sound I didn't know I could make, keens out of me, terrifying, mournful. Only the dead hear it. My wail rises and falls, rises and falls. Emmett's spirit blends with mine. Merging, we cry. Not fair. I died too soon, too soon. The ghost boys scream, holler, echo. Not fair. Died too young, too soon. We exhaust ourselves. The real world sleeps. Maybe somewhere someone sings Amazing Grace. Is Kim dreaming? Is Grandma muttering in her sleep? What about my parents and all the parents of the murdered boys? Do they rest quiet? Did Emmett's mom ever rest? Is she dead now? One by one, two by two, in small clusters, my ghost crew roams. Emmett murmurs, bear witness. What does that mean? Everybody needs their story heard and felt. We honor each other. Connect across time. Dumbstruck, I watch Emmett wander, zigzag down the middle of the street. I wait and wait and wait until the sun rises, until the neighborhood stirs. I feel like I'm 100 years old. I feel like I've just woken up. School's out. Winter, spring, summer. Every time I see a black kid, I yell, be safe. They never hear me. Walking my neighborhood, I wonder how anyone can laugh and be happy. The streets are dangerous. There's gangs, bullies, drive-by shootings, police with guns. But people need to be happy, or else be like me, I shout, dead, listless, weighted down with hard stories. Strange, though, I feel something's in the air, like a shift. There's something I've got to do. Lately, I've been lingering on my street. Nights, wild sunflowers at the vacant lot, close up, scents of chicken and collard greens blow through kitchen windows. I wish I could eat. Play, hug my sister, pat a dog, stroke a cat. Without rest, I wonder and watch. I see a world that's no longer mine. Carlos was trying to make me happy, and I was happy for a bit. If I'd known I was going to die, would I have become his friend? The truth is, even though it didn't last long, it was nice to have a friend. Carlos. Since school ended, since Kim said you have to tell Grandma, I haven't seen Carlos. I stand on the school steps and thank Carlos. Within seconds, I'm in an apartment bedroom. Carlos is lying on his bed, his hands covering his eyes. He isn't sleeping. Every now and then his right leg twitches. He sniffs. Wind billows, flaps the curtains. On Carlos's dresser are candlesticks, a drawing of a toy gun, a sandwich wrapper from the school cafeteria, a drumstick, and another drawing of two bathroom stalls with me and Carlos both inside, slapping, pounding, playing percussion on the plastic partition. There's a silver cross dangling from the black rosary beads, and a school photograph, me from 7th grade, cut up from the Chicago Tribune. It's a memory altar, like Grandma's, except hers has an upright cross and old black and white photographs of her and Grandpa Lenny. Grandpa's been dead a long time, since I was born, but every Sunday Grandma lights candles and talks to a picture of Grandpa in a sailor's uniform. He looks good in his bright white sailor's cap and bell-bottom pants. Handsome, he's got a wide nose and big smile. Grandma tells Grandpa about her week, how her feet hurt, how she misses him, how Kim got a 90% in spelling. I'm sure she told him about my dying. Folks are going to think you're crazy, Mom says, talking to a picture. I hope Carlos will talk to me. I focus. I moved Sarah's book. How hard would it be to lift and let paper fly? Hard. I was angry when I moved Sarah's book. I'm not angry anymore. Watching Carlos alone in his room, nothing much in it except the bed, dresser, and altar, I feel sad. I wish he had toys, books, a drum set. I wish I could give him the posters from my room. Focus, I think. Friends forever. Always. Amigos. My newspaper photo flutters, lifts, then falls, flutters some more. Friends forever. Always. The paper lifts and flies and soars like a feather, landing softly on Carlos's stomach. He sits up. He holds the paper and searches the room. Jerome? I'm standing right in front of him. He stretches out his hand. You forgive me? Carlos? The door opens. You all right? Yes, Poppy. The two look alike. Sable eyes, black hair, black lashes. Neither is tall, but I can tell Carlos is going to be strong like his dad. Go outside. Play. Otherwise, I think you want to go back to San Antonio. Here's fine. You still worried about that boy? He points to my picture. No, not anymore, says Carlos, standing beyond me. His name is Jerome, my first Chicago friend. Then Carlos starts crying, deep, gulping sobs. Carlos, what's wrong? Sitting on the twin bed, his dad holds him. Carlos tells him the whole story. Frightened of a new school, bullies the toy gun. Gun? His dad pulls back angrily, his jaw tightening. He inhales, and I think he's going to blast Carlos. Poppy, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. He closes his eyes. You shouldn't have to go to school scared. Not scared anymore, Poppy, really. Carlos comforts his father. Jerome helps. He looks at the space where I'm standing. You should have told me you were scared. I was ashamed. Never be. You're a good son. Everybody gets scared sometimes. It's how you handle it that matters. His dad closes his eyes again like he wants to unsee what he's imagining. It could have been you. Carlos gasps. He hasn't thought of himself dead. Terror-stricken, he trembles. He clutches his dad's hand. A small hand clasped tightly by a larger hand. I place my hand on top of theirs. Neither feel me. I've got to tell Jerome's family. Him dying was my fault. Do you want me to come? I know Carlos wants to say yes, come. Instead, he says, I'll do it. His dad hugs him. A good friend knows you didn't mean for anything bad to happen. See, Jerome was a good friend. His family will understand. They'll feel sad, but they'll understand. Really? Really, I whisper. Day of the Dead, Carlos says. I want to honor Jerome. Then Carlos, squinting, looks up. Honor you, Jerome, always. Maybe he does feel me, even if he can't see me? He nods. I nod, though he doesn't see. Day of the Dead. Can we do that, Poppy? Bring San Antonio to Chicago? Carlos nods. Sure. We'll honor Jerome for being good to my boy. Carlos's father ruffles his hair. I know you tried being good to him. I did. You did. Carlos and Grandma. From the upstairs window, Kim sees Carlos coming. Her bedroom curtains flutter, and then the front door opens. She must have run fast as lightning. Now? Kim says. Yes. I'll help. No, it's okay. Jerome would want me to. Carlos's eyes widen. Thanks, Kim. I follow them into the living room. Carlos stops and grins at Grandma's altar. She's placed Carlos' drawing of me next to her and Grandpa's wedding picture. A vase holds a fresh pink carnation. Carlos is pleased. Kim guides him into the kitchen. Home seems odd and unfamiliar, like a fading dream. I can't imagine living here. Such a tight, confining space, not expansive like the ghost world. I'm changed. There's no going back. I'm a ghost boy now. Grandma, look who's here. Carlos? Grandma stops chopping carrots. She grabs a plate covered in foil. Cookie? No thanks. You've got to have one. Sit, Kim. Get milk. Sorrowful, Kim looks at Carlos as he uncomfortably sits at the table. I stand by the sink. Jerome used to like chocolate chips, says Kim, but these are oatmeal raisin. You can dip them in the milk. Thanks, Kim, says Carlos, dipping the cookie in the glass she's given him. He bites. Poor Carlos, his face twists. Just like me and my tuna fish, the last food I ate, this cookie tastes like dirt. Jerome should have brought you home. I was afraid he didn't have friends. Jerome was good, but a bit quiet. He kept to himself. Grandma smiles. You were his good friend? She reaches for Carlos's hand. I was his good friend, says Carlos. He swallows and blurts. I gave him the gun. Stunned, Grandma freezes. I didn't mean any harm. It was just a toy. Kim pats Grandma's back. I'm proud of Carlos. His story, it isn't easy. I just wanted Jerome to have some fun and play. He'd been nice to me, and I just wanted to be nice back. Carlos bursts into tears. Kim starts crying. I'm sorry, murmurs Carlos. Grandma pulls him and Kim together, and she hugs and rocks them. Bawling. The three of them are holding on to each other tight. The kitchen never seemed so small. I looked out the window. I can't see them, but I know the ghost boys are down below, roaming and wandering. I turn back to my living family, Grandma and Kim and Carlos. Grandma sniffs. Sorry I let Jerome go play. I should have made him do homework. But he looked so happy, mischievous. I suspected there was something he was hiding. Yet I was happy he was being a bit naughty. He was so good all the time, I thought. What could he be up to? Why not let him have some fun? Says Kim. Some fun. Jerome never had much fun. Wonderingly, Grandma asked, You knew? You knew Jerome had a toy gun? Kim lowers her head. She tried to stop him, Carlos said hurriedly. Tried to stop me. She said you wouldn't like it. Grandma caresses Kim's cheek. Her thumb wipes away tears. It's okay, Kim. I love you. Can't undo wrong. Can only do our best to make things right. Grandma goes to the cabinet, grabs a tissue, and blows her nose. She gives Kim and Carlos tissues, too. Carlos, tell me 3 good things. Kim laughs through her tears. 3. That's Grandma's magic number. Hearing the 3 talk reminds me of good times. Carlos is in my place. 3 is magical. Kim, Carlos, and Grandma. Can I have another cookie first? Asked Carlos. All 3 sit eating cookies. I expect Carlos to tell Grandma 3 good things, but instead he said, I'm sorry it took so long for me to tell you about the gun. I felt shame. Kim was patient. She believed in me and she helped me to be brave. Blushing, Kim doesn't say anything. I knew Carlos was a good friend, Kim a good sister, and Grandma big-hearted enough to love everybody. The 3 of them will help Ma and Pop feel better. I feel better already. One more thing to do before I'm gone. And that's the end of today's reading. We read from page 149 to page 176. Last section tomorrow.